Have you ever wondered how hanja were made? Now, I'm going to talk about the different types of hanja. Let us start. During the Han Dynasty in China, scholars classified Chinese characters into 6 categories. They are called yuksong. The most basic characters are representations of concrete things. For example, things you can find in nature like the sun and trees, or even animals like the fish and the horses. This type of characters is called sanghyong, or pictographic characters. When characters indicate an idea or concept, they are called jisa characters or ideograms. Examples are the numbers 1, 2, and 3 in Hanja. They can also be formed from existing pictographic characters, just like the character kunbon, which is a tree, plus a line underneath to symbolize roots. 2 characters that have meaning can also combine to make a new character. These are the characters for person and for word. They form the character middle shin, which means a message or something that can be believed or trusted. These characters fall into the category of hui and are also called as combined ideograms and associative compounds. The next type of hanja is probably the most common type of hanja, the hyeongsong or pictophonetic characters. They are mainly composed of 2 parts, a semantic component which tells its meaning, and a phonetic component which gives us a hint on its pronunciation. One example is the hanja murul mun, to ask. Its semantic component is ipku, mouth, and its phonetic component is mun, door. No wonder murul mun, to ask, and mun door sound the same, right? Keep in mind that these characters were made thousands of years ago and reflect the pronunciation of Chinese during that time. There are cases that characters that share the same phonetic component will sound not similar or even entirely different from each other. But sometimes we can also guess and remember the pronunciation and meaning of a character based on its phonetic and semantic components. The first 4 classifications are based on how characters were made. The remaining 2 classifications are about how characters were used. These are chonju and gacha. I will first talk about gacha since it is simpler than chonju. There are cases that the concept or word might be difficult to be represented very vividly. For example, how can you represent the concept of pronouns in an image, right? When there is a word, yet it still does not have any character, the need for gacha, or phonetic loan characters arises. This means a character that has a similar sound will be borrowed and used to represent a word that still does not have any character at all. In English, this is similar when we use the number 2 to replace the words to and to in text messaging. Just like I want to eat kimchi. Yes, me too. An example in Hanja would be this character, ki, which originally means a winnowing basket, if you see its earliest form, and is a pictographic character. It was borrowed to write the word for that thing and that person for their similarity in sound. However, there are cases that even though there is an existing character for a word, another character was used to represent it. For example, the character for 4. This character had already existed before the word for was represented by this character, which we are using today and has the original meaning of a dispersal of breath. Now, the last category I will be talking about is called chonju, mutually explanatory or synonymous characters. There are different theories on what chonju really is, but I will only talk about 2 versions, Theory A and Theory B. The first theory is based on the definition of Hoshin, a scholar from the Han Dynasty. He said that 2 characters that have the same radical, exact, or similar meaning and pronunciation can be used to define each other. For example, the characters no and ko. As you can see, they share one radical that means old man. In modern Korean and Chinese, no and ko do not mean the same. No means old age, while ko is to think. However, we can still find its old meaning of old age in expressions like kobi, the term for one's late parents. However, in classical Chinese, no and ko mean the same thing, which is old age. Some sources say that there had been no first, then its pronunciation changed in other places, so there was a need to create a character for that pronunciation, which is ko. On the other hand, the second theory states, Chonju is the process of making one character to clearly differentiate the related meanings of one character. Let us take this character Chui as an example. The original meaning of this character is to get. However, this character was later used to represent the concept of to get a wife. This change in meaning resulted to the birth of this character, Chui, which is Chui, to get, plus Nyo, woman. Let us go back to ki. We know that it has two different meanings, but its function as a pronoun was used more frequently than its original meaning. So, its original meaning faded away. The original meaning came back to life with this character, ki. It means Winnow basket and is composed of its original character, ki, plus the radical bamboo. It can be argued that the new characters for Chui and ki are Hyeongsong or pictophonetic characters, since they both have semantic and phonetic components. Yes, they are, but the process that created them is Chonju. It is Chonju when the original meaning of a character expanded, or there is a connection between the meanings of the two characters, even though the pronunciations may or not be similar. On the other hand, it is Kacha when a character is borrowed just for its similarity in shape or sound and there is no relation with its meaning. We can say Chonju is 동자 이훈, the same character but different in meaning, while Kacha is 이자 동음, different characters but the same in pronunciation. Let us have a recap. There are 6 categories on how Hanja were made. Sanghyong are pictographic characters which are representation of concrete objects. Jisa, characters or ideograms are characters that indicate an idea or concept. Huei, characters, which are also called combined ideograms and associative compounds, are composed of 2 or more characters that have meaning. Next, the most common type of Hanja, the Hyeongsong or pictophonetic characters. They are mainly composed of 2 parts, a semantic component which tells its meaning, and a phonetic component which gives us a hint on its pronunciation. Kacha, or phonetic loan characters, are created when a character that has a similar sound will be borrowed and used to represent a word that still doesn't have any character at all. Lastly, Chonju is when 2 characters that have the same radical, exact, or similar meaning and pronunciation can be used to define each other, or is the process of making one character to clearly differentiate the related meanings of one character. So what if we know these classifications of Hanja? Well, if you consult dictionaries or online Hanja resources, they tell you which one of the 6 categories does the Hanja you are looking for belong to. However, different sources can have different explanations, so it is up to you to decide which explanation can help you in your studying. A lot of people think Hanja are like pictures or drawings and seem impossible to remember. When Chinese characters were first created, a great number of characters were highly based on real-life objects, and were mere drawings. Even though Chinese characters were first highly pictographic, it later developed to have characteristics that are similar to phonetic alphabets, just like the one we have in English, or even in Korean. Thank you very much, and I hope you learned a lot from today's video. Remember to click like, subscribe, and see you again.